You're 72 years old. You wake up early just like you have for the last 40 years. The house is quiet. Your blood sugar meter sits on the kitchen table. You prick your finger, wait for the number, and hold your breath. 148. You sigh. Not terrible. Not great either. You've been trying, cutting sugar, walking after dinner, taking your medication on time. And yet every morning feels like a small judgment. Now you open the refrigerator. There they are. Eggs. You've heard so many things. Eggs are perfect protein. Eggs raise cholesterol. Eggs are safe. Eggs are dangerous if you have diabetes. You stand there wondering, is this breakfast helping me or slowly hurting me? And here's the uncomfortable truth. For older adults with diabetes, eggs are not just good or bad, they are powerful. And if you use them incorrectly, especially after 65 or 70, they can quietly push your body in the wrong direction. Higher cholesterol, more inflammation, unstable blood sugar patterns, and increased cardiovascular risk. But if you use them correctly, they can stabilize your glucose, preserve your muscle, protect your brain, and even reduce cravings that cause dangerous spikes later in the day. My name is Dr. David Morgan. I've worked with older adults managing type 2 diabetes for over 25 years. And I want to walk you through something most people, even many physicians, oversimplify. This isn't about scaring you away from eggs. It's about teaching you how to eat them safely, strategically, and intelligently after 60, 70, and beyond. Because at your age, the question isn't just, is this food healthy? The real question is this food helping me preserve independence? That's the longevity lens. After 70, your body does not respond the same way it did at 45. Insulin sensitivity declines. Muscle mass decreases. Inflammation increases. Arteries stiffen. Recovery slows down, so even small daily habits compound. Let me tell you about Margaret. Margaret was 74. She felt fine. Her diabetes was controlled. Her A1C hovered around 7.1. Not perfect, but acceptable. Every morning she ate 3 eggs and white toast. She had read online that eggs are zero carb, and therefore perfect for diabetics. Technically, eggs don't spike blood sugar. But here's what was happening underneath. Her LDL cholesterol slowly crept upward. Her HDL didn't improve. Her post-meal glucose was stable. But by afternoon, she felt sluggish and hungry. Why? Because eggs alone weren't the problem. It was how she was eating them. By the time she came to see me, her cardiologist was concerned. Not because of her sugar, but because of her cardiovascular risk profile. Here's something most people don't realize. If you have diabetes, your risk of heart disease is already 2 to 4 times higher than someone without diabetes. So the real danger isn't the egg itself. It's how the egg interacts with an already vulnerable system. Now let's break this down calmly. Eggs contain high-quality protein. Choline, important for brain health. Vitamin D. B12, selenium. Healthy fats, but they also contain cholesterol, just about 186 milligrams per yolk. Now, modern research has shown that dietary cholesterol does not affect everyone the same way. Some people are hyper-responders, meaning their LDL rises more significantly with high egg intake. Older adults with diabetes are more likely to fall into that sensitive category, and this is where fear becomes appropriate. Not panic, but awareness. Because cardiovascular events don't announce themselves. They accumulate silently. Richard was 78. He loved eggs. 4 every morning. "Doctor, they don't raise my sugar," he told me proudly. And he was right. His fasting glucose looked decent. But his triglycerides were high. His LDL particle number was elevated. His small, dense LDL, the dangerous kind, was significant. 3 months later, he had a mild heart attack. Was it because of eggs? No, but his overall pattern, high saturated fat breakfast, minimal fiber, no vegetables in the morning, sedentary lifestyle, created the perfect metabolic storm. Eggs were not evil, they were simply used incorrectly. Here's what older adults with diabetes must understand. Your body cares about context. Eggs alone act differently than eggs combined with fiber. Eggs fried in butter act differently than eggs poached with vegetables. Eggs eaten with white bread act differently than eggs eaten with spinach and avocado. The mistake most seniors make is thinking in isolation. Eggs are good, or eggs are bad. The body doesn't think that way, it calculates patterns. Now let's talk about blood sugar specifically. Eggs are low carbohydrate. That's true. They won't spike your glucose the way cereal or toast will. But here's what many people overlook. A very high-fat meal can delay glucose clearance. In simple terms, when you eat a high-fat breakfast, like multiple eggs cooked in butter with sausage, your blood sugar might look fine at 1 hour, but elevated at 3 or 4 hours. This delayed spike is extremely common in older adults with insulin resistance. You test at 1 hour, 130. You feel safe. You don't test at 3 hours, well, I seen 78. And that repeated delayed elevation damages blood vessels over time. Now let's talk muscle. After 65, muscle loss accelerates. This is called sarcopenia. Protein becomes more important than ever. And here's where eggs become incredibly valuable. One egg contains about 6 grams of high-quality protein, rich in leucine, an amino acid that stimulates muscle synthesis. Older adults need more protein per meal than younger adults to trigger muscle repair, so removing eggs entirely can be a mistake. See the balance? Too many yolks daily may increase lipid risk in certain individuals. Too few high-quality proteins may accelerate frailty. This is why nuance matters. Now I'm going to tell you the 5 rules I give my older diabetic patients when it comes to eating eggs safely. Rule number 1. Never eat eggs alone. Pair them with fiber. Fiber slows digestion, stabilizes blood sugar, and helps manage cholesterol. Good pairings include spinach, mushrooms, tomatoes, avocado, chia seeds, a small portion of steel-cut oats, low glycemic berries. Margaret switched from 3 plain eggs and toast to higher 2 eggs, sautéed spinach, half an avocado, a small bowl of steel-cut oats. Her post-meal glucose stabilized, her LDL improved, her energy increased. Same food category, different structure. Rule number 2. Limit yolks strategically. For many older adults with diabetes, 4 to 6 whole eggs per week is a reasonable range, unless otherwise advised by their physician. You can add extra egg whites for protein without increasing cholesterol load. For example, 1 whole egg plus 2 egg whites. This maintains muscle support while moderating lipid exposure. Rule number 3. Avoid processed meat combinations. Eggs plus bacon plus sausage is the metabolic disaster combination. Processed meats increase inflammation, sodium load, and cardiovascular risk. If you have diabetes after 70, your arteries deserve protection. Choose eggs plus vegetables, eggs plus salmon, eggs plus legumes, not eggs, plus processed meat. Rule number 4. Watch cooking fats. Frying eggs in large amounts of butter daily adds saturated fat that compounds lipid risk. Better options. Poached, boiled, light olive oil sauté. Air-cooked small changes over years create massive outcomes. Rule number 5. Test strategically. If you truly want to know how eggs affect you, test your glucose. Before eating 1 hour after 3 hours after. Do this on an egg breakfast day and compare to a different breakfast day. Your meter tells the truth. Now let's address something emotional. Many older adults feel tired of restrictions. You've already given up sugar, reduced salt, take medications, see multiple doctors. And now you're told to be careful with eggs too? It feels exhausting, but this isn't about taking joy away. It's about preserving autonomy. Because the real fear is not high cholesterol. The real fear is losing independence. Needing help to bathe, needing assistance to walk, recovering slowly from a preventable cardiac event, losing cognitive sharpness. Nutrition after 70 is not about aesthetics. It's about staying you. There's another angle few discuss: cognitive health. Egg yolks contain choline, essential for acetylcholine production, a neurotransmitter involved in memory. Older adults are at risk for both diabetes-related cognitive decline and choline deficiency. Completely eliminating yolks without replacement can unintentionally reduce cognitive protection. Again, balance, not elimination, not excess. Strategy. Now let me tell you about Harold. Harold was 81. He stopped eating eggs completely after reading that diabetics shouldn't eat cholesterol. Within a year, he lost weight unintentionally. Muscle mass declined, he became weaker, his protein intake was inadequate. When we reviewed his diet, he was eating mostly toast, soup, and tea. His blood sugar was actually worse. Why? Because he replaced protein with carbohydrates. We reintroduced 1 whole egg daily, 2 additional whites vegetables, Greek yogurt. His strength improved, his glucose stabilized. The lesson? Fear without guidance leads to imbalance. So where does that leave you? Here is the simple framework I give my patients over 70 with type 2 diabetes. Eggs are a tool. Used correctly, they stabilize appetite, they support muscle, they protect the brain, they reduce carb cravings. Used carelessly, they may worsen lipid markers in susceptible individuals. They may contribute to delayed glucose elevation if paired with high saturated fat. They may accelerate cardiovascular risk when combined with poor overall diet. So before you cook tomorrow morning, ask yourself 5 questions. Am I pairing this with fiber? Am I overloading saturated fat? Am I exceeding reasonable weekly yolk intake? Have I tested my body's response? Is this breakfast protecting my heart? Medicine should protect quality of life, not just chase numbers. Your A1C matters. But so does your strength, your clarity, your ability to walk without assistance, your ability to live in your own home. Eggs are not the enemy. Ignorance is. And fear without structure is. So tomorrow morning, when you open that refrigerator and see those eggs, don't feel confused. Feel informed. Maybe you take 2. Maybe 1 whole and 2 whites. Maybe you add spinach and olive oil. Maybe you skip the toast. Maybe you test your sugar at 3 hours instead of just 1. Small decisions. Quiet decisions. The kind that don't trend online, but the kind that determine whether you are still gardening, traveling, and playing with your grandchildren at 82, or managing complications that could have been softened. If you're over 70 and living with diabetes, remember this. It's not about eating perfectly, it's about eating intentionally. And when used with wisdom, eggs can absolutely be part of a blood sugar stable, heart protective, muscle preserving life. Not because someone online said eggs are superfood, but because you understand how your body works now. And that knowledge is power.